Scott, do I call you Captain now? What do I call you? Chief. Chief work. Okay. Just move it up, Wheezy. All right, ready?
If we speak, do you want us turning around facing the camera or just talk to you if you ask us for information?
I just spoke to you.
You just spoke to us. I think it'll be fine.
Sounds good.
Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order on the safety committee meeting on Tuesday, November 28th. And we're gonna do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Jim Nickel?
Kieran Farrell.
Don Thomas.
Jim Bagoulis?
Go ahead, Ron.
Ron Bennock on by phone.
Okay, perfect. All right, do we have any public comment? No. Approval of the minutes from October 17th. Thought they were fine.
Motion to approve. Second.
The motion is passed, the minutes are approved. Staff report and updates. Staff is not here today, so we do not have an update from staff, but why don't we get our updates from, we'll start with Chief Worth.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be back. This is my first meeting, missing the last one. So I provided you some data on our runs from last month. Our call volume is down from before the storm, but is starting to come back. I think the biggest thing to highlight in our data and for this committee is that typically before the storm we were seeing that 75% EMS type calls, 25% fire and hazards. We're definitely up on the amount of hazardous calls we're running. Those are things like underground electrical vaults, there's stuck elevators, and other things related to all the construction and the rebuilding that's going on the island. So just to highlight the safety aspect of being in and around the hazards that still exist on the island, and all the construction that's going on. Make sure you're looking up and down and everywhere before you walk in and out of buildings. So, and then the other thing on our EMS calls is we are seeing more trauma type calls. We're seeing somewhere between 3 and 5 traumatic calls a month. That's stuff like people falling off of roofs or injuries from cuts and stuff from doing construction. So again, we know what's going on out here. It's the type of calls we thought we would see, and we're seeing. So
You're not seeing I see it doesn't seem like it, but someone made a comment to me that they were worried that we were going to have more fires than usual because of electrical maybe not done correctly or things like that. I don't know if you're seeing anything.
we are seeing the potential for it and coming like in short circuiting and smoke and bad circuits that are bad. So homes where people may not have pulled out all the wiring that was soaked, but our overall fire count isn't up.
Right.
I think people are active in their remodels and they're catching things when they come up.
Okay, good.
So.
Anybody have anything? Jim?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nothing.
No, we're good.
Less is better.
Less is better.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Lieutenant Chipwood, would you like to give us an update?
Yeah, the Sheriff's Office is continuing to perform our normal functions down here on the beach. We are actively monitoring the daily population for the increases that we expect as the repairs and tourist industry gets back on its feet. So we haven't seen anything of note that has caused us concern yet. We think we're doing a pretty good job of understanding what the dynamics are down here when it comes to the policing part of our role. And I know we have increased some of our traffic enforcement operations on the northern end in our Zone 4 area. So that's the San Carlos Island and northern part of the town, Fort Myers Beach. That's because that's where primarily we see most of the traffic issues.
Right.
But outside of that, we've got no issues that are popping up from the public safety crime side of the public safety spectrum.
One thing we were just talking about, are you noticing, when you come off the bridge, we are noticing an influx of people just walking, crossing the street. They're not going to the crosswalks. It's really every day you see an influx. And it's one of the things is it true they're gonna take down that light that was down, the crosswalk light, and then only have the Margaritaville light, or are we gonna have both lights?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
Do you know
Which both lights are you talking to?
Like when you come off the bridge, you know, the bridge that you would stop to cross to go to Times Square. Jim thought maybe that one was going
I thought
away.
the original plan was for that light to go away and only have the one at Crescent. And then there was some discussion that there could be one at Fifth, right at the base of the bridge, but not the one in the middle. And I don't know if that plan has changed since the storm or what the long-range plans are now in regard to traffic control. And I didn't know if you'd heard me.
What I can add, and I'm adding it from memory, is the roundabout, the whole,
Yeah.
the state project is supposed to add several crosswalks. I believe it had a few,
Right.
lighted controls within that whole assembly. I don't know where they're at on that.
I was gonna say, why are we doing that?
Yeah, so I don't know if the light at Times Square is gonna get turned back on.
Okay.
And I don't remember if it's actually part of the new project.
Would it be like, how hard is it to put up those barriers? I mean, this is something we would go to the town, obviously, to direct people to go to these crosswalks so they're not just walking from, the Yucatan parking lot just right across the bridge. Because if you're not paying attention, it is pretty scary.
It's kind of like a free-for-all.
Right now it is a free-for-all right now.
And it's really only going to get worse as the season, whatever season we have, progresses into January, February, March.
So if you notice, they're currently putting the sidewalks down around Margaritaville.
Right, and that's what we're wondering if that's
It'd be
help.
interesting to see when they get those sidewalks done, if maybe that triggers that other light coming back in
on.
service.
And get people to, you had a few people crossing nilly-willy in the past, but most people went to the crosswalk, crossed there because the traffic was so bad. And I just want to make sure that we're not having it a free-for-all, that people are going.
Because they're coming out of the lighthouse and they're like stranding themselves on a little concrete triangle. And
Yeah.
you drive by going, oh my God, stay right there, don't move.
Yeah,
And then they try to cross over to either Yucatan or to Mr. Wave or whatever. You're like, holy cow, what are these people doing? They're taking their lives in their own hands.
I think normally, and you guys probably know this, the best situation would be approaching the town,
Okay.
who could approach the county
Okay.
that has that road and say, because it's probably a couple signs might make a huge difference.
Yeah.
But we can obviously keep an eye on it as well. From now, it's just, people are trying to get where they want, shortest distance between two spots of straight
Sure.
line, so.
It's only human nature.
oh, I'd do it too if I didn't know, it's the first thing when you get here, you don't.
If it's not defined, then people say, well, I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
They're not from out of town, a lot of them, and many of them are staying off island. They just come down for the day and then they're wandering around and they're gonna get hit.
But we have not seen an increase in traffic crashes related to pedestrians or anything at this time there, or nothing that's made it up to my level.
Sure.
So as far as, it could be a potential safety issue that as population increases, that we can keep an eye on.
okay.
But right now, we're not seeing any numbers that would give us a
So
indication.
it's something to watch, and we get Margaritaville's sidewalks up and
Right.
see what's going on. Maybe we can, I can go to town council for our update from there.
We'll talk a little bit about it.
Okay, anything else?
That's it for us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a really short meeting today. Sidewalk project. Heidi was supposed to get us a map, but she did not.
Right.
I have to be a loser. I did not go up and check the sidewalks, so I have not gone to the north
Yeah.
end.
You're just waiting for that.
Yeah,
For the map.
I really only checked right around the CVS and Santini area, and I saw a lot of scarring on the sidewalks, but I didn't see any hazardous
Right.
situations or broken sidewalks.
Okay, we'll get with Heidi to have her update that. Public safety campaign and messaging. We talked about this a little bit, but not a lot. And I don't know if Jenny, the PIO, is gonna be sending things out. I guess I think it goes hand in hand once we get some people here. I mean, it's pretty quiet, I think. And I want to say the day after Thanksgiving there was a lot of traffic on the island, and then Saturday it dropped right back down again.
Right.
So maybe that's the next thing is I'll reach out to Jenny and find out what they have planned, because I don't want to load her up. But I think the biggest issue is, going into derelict buildings, and I know you want to see everything, but stay away.
Yeah. Yes, be aware that there are things even along the sidewalk, wires and
Yeah.
posts sticking out of the ground yet still, and these things are hazardous, and you're going to end up in one of the medics if you're not careful what
Exactly.
you're doing. Also, I think it's important for the town to provide information out to the public in general about things that are happening. As I was speaking earlier about the fact that when they lit the signal there at Crescent, I was unaware that was going to happen. I don't think anybody was aware it was going to happen until one day I drove down there and it was working. And then you hear a lot of people asking questions like, why is this light here? I didn't know they were going to do this. This is just going to slow down traffic. And I think if somebody had taken a little time to explain, we're going to be turning that light on next week, and this is what we hope to accomplish with that, and we're anticipating the impact Margaritaville is going to have on this immediate area, and that's why this light's going to be valuable to help with pedestrian crossing as well as move cars around to get into Margaritaville safely. And there was another discussion like that. So on social media, ideas about why this light has been put in, other than to make life miserable for everyone coming on the island, abound. So I think a little information about, kind of pre-warning as things, because things are going to be unfolding here.
Right.
And I think it's important that they keep the public informed.
Well, I guess the first thing we need to find out about, and I wish Dan will find out, is when is the roundabout? Is that coming right back? Is that back on track? Are we gonna do a roundabout, which will change things, number one, but that'll be years. Signage, we used to have those signs that say to exit the island, turn here, so you don't have to, we've seen people flip U's on the bridge and big crazy stuff right now because they don't know, how to get out and how to turn around.
No. The last information that I have been able to glean out of things, and again, this is due to lack of information. We're not being really told what's happening yet.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll say, well, it's because we don't know what's going to happen. Well, that's fine. Tell us you don't really know what's going to happen.
Right.
But the roundabout was not, as per se, was not likely to be an end result. That they would expand that space down there. They would provide some areas for the trolleys to park and unload, but they would not have a full-blown roundabout like we maybe had envisioned initially when we were looking at some initial. Now that part of the project is controlled by the state.
Right.
And so we don't, I think the town needs to kind of update us as to what their thoughts are on it, even if they're not plans yet. I mean,
Right.
plans are like something that are nailed down, written down, here's the plan, versus this is the direction we're leaning in that area.
Right.
Even that much information would be helpful, I think, to people.
All right, we'll get on. I'll talk to Jenny and I'll talk to everybody, see what we can get from them so we can get it out to people.
I think so. I think it would be helpful. It would quell some rumors.
Okay.
I tried to keep up with everything that the town puts out about what's going on, but I've not seen anything on those particular kinds of issues.
No.
And traffic is going to become a big topic of discussion because we're having so many people stay off island and come on island. Day visitors instead of long-term
Right.
visitors because of the lack of housing available right now on the island and hotel space on the
And the
island.
mass amount of workers.
Yes, workers coming on every day and leaving.
Chief?
So I can add to the state project in the roundabout. Just before the storm, we were talking with the state about their plan of having 3 lanes on the bridge and what that meant for public safety. I do know that just before the storm, they had finalized plans and were going to bid. And I think they had one contractor and it came in at twice their budget. So
Yeah, welcome to Florida right
Right,
now.
I think that might have caused them to take a pause, and I don't know if that's gonna result in a change in their plans or not, but that's kind of the last thing that had happened before the storm.
The sad thing is the roundabout now would have been the time when everything was destructed down there to really rip it up and get it done. because we're in Havoc anyway, and there was no traffic here. It would have been perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been minimal.
It still would be perfect in the next 2 years. I think we've got this nice window where it's not going to be chaos. Well, we'll see if we can get some updates, and so we can get it to people and again get the message out. The other thing I think that goes hand in hand with that is I think town needs to. I watched the meeting and I was unclear a little bit of how does they're emailing the people whose places are still derelict and they haven't worked on them.
Right.
They had till October 31st to say they were doing something. If they have a permit in, is there something else they should be doing? I guess the main one I think about is the ones in the public areas. The Junkanoo building that you can put a ladder on and go up and look at sunset. You've got the 2 buildings on Old San Carlos, Tropical Sunset, and the 2-story beach place. It's right on the corner. The beach one's kind of roped off. Tropical Sunset is wide open. And people they're walking, they're looking still, and they're peeking in, and you don't want them walking in and falling and getting that. That's a huge issue that I don't know I know they're fining people now. It also was made fairly clear to me that if they're not working on it and they don't have a permit on it, they're not responding at all. These people are MIA. So, how do you handle that to, get this stuff cleaned up so that I'd rather have an empty lot that's clean. I mean, it's sad, but at the same time, it's
safe.
less,
It's safer.
yeah, it's safe, yeah.
And the fences are temporary. They tend to blow down, or they're not, it's good for that temporary spot so people don't trip, but at the same time, they blow away and they're not in place. So, it's like we need a permanent solution here, not
Right.
just so much temporary.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll talk to town on that too, because I think that's the biggest issue, especially with more people coming in.
Especially the focus on Times Square, you have, the holidays coming in and you have the
Yes.
fireworks, and at nighttime, people.
Times
are gonna be
Square is a
walking around.
dangerous place, really. There's all kinds of ways to trip and fall there and
If
become
there's-
impaled on this, that, or the other. It's
When they
dangerous.
start building the pier, people are gonna walk to the pier, and you've got so many people who own so many little parcels of land on that little island, let's call it, that, it would be nice if we could find out what I've heard they've all been communicating, what are they thinking? Because they gotta work together on this, and where are they going with that?
Well, I don't know, I don't know how much of a role the town can play in that. Gee, I would like to think they could call those people together and say, we're going to work out a generalized plan. If you don't want to be on board, I would suggest you liquidate your property and move on. If not, I can see eminent domain in your future. And they would say, wait a minute,
I think they
have
have
a very
been working
valuable
with
piece of land
somebody.
here.
I'm not sure. I gotta get the facts on this, but that would be nice as it's kind of like the same thing. If you have a property that is, maybe they're on the schedule to be demoed, or they have the final, they've got the permitting in and they're just waiting. As long as something's being done, it gives you that peace of mind. So, it'd be nice to have that kind of peace of mind as a town of what are these owners doing right now. They may not agree, but at least we know they're meeting and they're working together. And
Yeah, I guess I don't, again, we're not privy to the information as to whether the town is trying to lead that group into
Right.
some kind of a direction. Maybe they are, maybe they're waiting for the group to find its way together. To me, that would be a bad mistake.
well,
There could be some
I got-
action that we have, which is for New Year's Eve, that we go down there and we put in temporary fencing or barricades or something, if they don't have those structures taken away. Because last thing we want is, something to happen.
something to happen.
Yeah.
Lawsuit. Did you have something, Ron?
Yeah, I did. Down by us, one of the big things with these homes that we don't know what's going on is that and I don't know if it's just our area because they unloaded everything from the mangroves where the women's club was and where the mosquito control district was. But we have houses there that we have a rat problem.
Oh,
And these homes that are left like that, this is where these rats, they come in and that's where they're staying. I've got neighbors that are constantly trapping and killing rats.
Oh, God.
So that's a big issue. Those homes that are, nothing's being done, they're havens for vermin.
Yes.
That's another huge safety issue.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something we need to talk to town again. We need to, because it is getting ridiculous
All the more reason
to knock it down.
to knock it down, clear the lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
It takes
Correct.
away the opportunity for the vermin, so to
Right.
speak, to live there. We have the same issue down by us, next door to the CVS. Across the street from us, of course, is what's left of the Wyndham. And
That's
I know-
disgusting.
I know it's slated to be demoed, and he's working, with the town on many other projects, but there are rats over there. It is a problem. And if that lot were cleared at least, then they would go away.
That just grosses me out. Okay.
Yep.
All right, well. All right, bicycling update. I guess we don't even have a lot of bicyclers right now,
No.
but we've got all the, what are they called? Lanes are all still there. I guess once we start getting people, we can add that. Is that your phone?
I don't know. I think so.
Thank God we have somebody here who knows how to work a fire alarm.
He approached knowingly.
Yeah.
It's all about silencing the panel.
Yeah.
I've done it many times.
Is there bad wiring here? I'm
I
kidding.
know, I'm like,
It's the self-destruct.
I manifested it.
We'll be hearing sirens shortly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have an access code?
You have 30 seconds to exit the building.
I need an access code to silence it.
Never a dull moment.
Like we're gonna think of an access code.
Give the chief an axe, he'll put that thing out.
Exactly.
That's what he just put in.
Yeah.
I can
Perfect.
tell- I can tell
Okay.
by the numbers.
Thank you. All right. Member items, anybody? We kind of went over some.
Yeah, I think we talked about things that were on our mind.
Yeah, there was, one other thing is around those crosswalks, was specifically around the temporary ones that say like, just that sit in the middle of the street and say, stop for pedestrians. I don't know how expensive those would be, how we can mount those, but I mean, as we think about more people coming to the beach, just identifying where those crosswalks or color coding them and all those things that we wanted to do, but it's just like, can we get something out there that, even if it's a sawhorse that says crosswalk, it's something more on that temporarily, just as people, as they're driving on the beach, see that and say, oh, that's where the crosswalk is. And like we talk about new people coming on the beach all the time, just having them filter that direction.
I can email Lee County, the gentleman from who we worked with 2 years ago, and see if he's still our liaison to see what's going on. Because
Yeah.
are they repainting them? Are they gonna highlight them? I know they brought up the lit one down on Linnell. I was gonna say Lenore. Linnell. Is that coming back up? Is that, I know everything kind of moved aside, but those crosswalks are hard to see. They got scraped and everything. It'd be
Yep.
nice to, are they getting repainted? And maybe they're waiting till the construction on Margaritaville is done and they're gonna come through and do
Repaint
a
a lot
little
of them.
refreshment.
Yeah.
So I'll find out from Lee County to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
I have that contact.
I had an item for Matt, Lieutenant Chitwood. I'm noticing a lot of people utilizing the center lane to pass because there'll be slower traffic, like just coming up today, there was a lift going down the street. It had several cars backed up behind it because it was only going about 20 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden, 3 cars went into the center lane and they went right past that whole line of traffic because they got tired of waiting. And I don't know how much enforcement discussion you're having with your guys about utilizing that center lane for that kind of driving is going to be very dangerous, I think, in the final
Any particular
analysis.
location, you're seeing it more than
You're going to see it on the south end more because that's where the lane is. It's very wide down there, so any impediment to flow of traffic, even if it's just a rubberneck looker, you're going to see people go out and bounce around them. And that's not really what that lane's intended for. It's really it's to turn left primarily. It's not a passing lane.
I can pass it along to the.
If you
units that work
would,
for you.
I thought that would be, if they just are having it in their mind to pay
Yep.
attention and look for it, they're gonna see it happen quite a bit if they're looking.
Yep, we'll let them know.
All right. Karen, anything?
No, just speaking to Jim's point about the signs in the middle, the crosswalk signs. I sent something off to Ray Sandelli a couple of years ago when the first mention of Linnell came up about those fluorescent, must cross in the crosswalk or must stop for pedestrians, little guy walking across a stop sign, they're fluorescent yellow. And then I thought about the fire department would need the middle lane, for emergencies, but those things, they do bend down, like at Buttonwood with those signs that people apparently run them over, but then they stand back up.
Yeah.
So, I sent that off
A while ago.
2 years ago, maybe, when all that was busting loose about people crossing everywhere. It's
Yeah.
like, well, people, if the paint is faded, maybe they can't see the
They can't see
crosswalks
it.
themselves, so they
Right.
just cross wherever they
Right.
feel like it, figuring, well, they have to stop because I'm a pedestrian. It's like,
Well, I'll email our contact at Lee County and we'll start that
they're
process
out there. I mean,
there.
they're
They
available.
might have plans, like you said, to do this and they're waiting for a particular time frame.
Right.
So, that's all I got.
I just have one last one.
Go ahead.
Just pass those
Wow, look at you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So one of the follow-ups I had from the last meeting was regarding the systems to inform the town on who's staying on the beach during a storm. So one of the reasons why was, think about Hurricane Ian and having people knowing where they were so that first responders can go reach to them first. Instead of having to go door to door trying to find people, if we knew exactly where people were, it would actually aid in the rescue that we had. So the objective here was to initiate a two-way communication to subscribers. Currently we have a red alert system that does have this capability. And it would also complement anything that the town manager's been planning, because I know he's been reaching out, trying to understand what is the best way of approaching this. This allows first responders to focus on the health and well-being of people that are staying on the island first. Allows us to go search for them first and then go door to door afterwards, while we start to allow people on the island to go back to their homes. So the other things that we were considering as far as how we would communicate with both guests and residents was through Lee County Alert System, and then also through maybe Fort Myers Beach Fire Control. Both systems are usually just one way, so they blast out communications through social media. There's nothing that has like a return of a two-way. And going through this, I would just want to recognize some of the advisors that I reached out to, which was Tiffany Grint from Lee County, Jennifer Campbell from Fort Myers Beach Fire Official, as well as Jenny Dexter. So they helped me, look at what's available, and where we landed was on this Code Red system as an option. And this is really where we have about 10,000 subscribers today, where they actually put in their names, they've signed up. What I'm thinking about, and this is kind of more of a proposal for discussion, not a decision, but where subscribers would get a question, maybe once a year, like where do they live? But it really comes down to, I would say, when there's a hurricane, specifically connecting with the people and saying, will you be remaining on the island during the hurricane? And if they say no, then that's great, no action. If they say yes, then they put in their address and how many people are with them. That goes into a database where it could be auto-generated and then passed on to the first responders from, it could be Lee County Sheriff, could be Fire Department, whoever that may be. And that's a starting point to say, okay, we know these people are still here on the island. Does it hit everybody? Probably not, but we would also understand if here's all the residents that said, okay, yes, I'm here or not here, you could basically check off all those homes, and then the list that, hey, we didn't have any response from any of these people, you still know, okay, we can go to them as well. So this is just an idea that I had, reaching out to some of the advisors and talking through it on how do we have a list of people identified that are staying on the island during a hurricane, and where we would want to reach out first to make sure that they were safe.
I think it's a great idea.
I do too. I'm trying to envision how it might work. I could see them sending out a message to everyone asking them if they plan to remain, and if, answer yes, hit with the wire and in, and then that eliminates a lot of people right away. Because they're planning to evacuate.
Yeah.
I guess that, and you may have to do this, and people change their mind as the incident evolves.
Yep.
And you might have to do that question more than once.
Yeah.
But it could certainly work. My pharmacist runs me down every time and tells me my medicine's ready, and do I want to pick yes or no? I have to answer, and the dentist the same way, and so that kind of stuff is out there. It's very easy, and these small businesses wouldn't be using it if it was expensive and challenging. It's just a matter of getting it set up to operate in our community.
Yeah, and talking to Jenny, it's just basically clicking a box in the current system.
Right.
So we just don't utilize that capability today, and this could be a way to utilize that capability where we get that two-way communication. And the inspiration was exactly that. CVS, Xfinity does the same.
Yep.
So there's
Right.
a lot of companies out there like, that just ask that yes or no, and this actually plays off the same type of technology.
I think it's great. And I think in the past, before Ian, you would have had people, I don't want them to know, it's none of their business. And I think after Ian, everybody has this mindset that, no, I'm gonna let them know. I don't, if you were here and your house was, a door was broken in, not broken in, but kicked in to come see if you're safe, you don't wanna have that happen again. And I think it's an education when people move here, which goes to the real estate agents. We get every real estate agent on board with this to say, part of your check-in is when you move in, please sign up for these, because after Ian, we are very diligent on making sure we know you're safe after there, and that's another educational program. Because I think everybody would do it now that they have gone through it. And it's easy. And everybody has a cell phone.
And we talked last time around signage. I'm home, not home, and I don't think anyone.
Robert, come here.
Yeah, it's
I don't
like,
think people like that idea.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, how do we do something that's a little bit more just directed to the town, so only the first responders see this
I think that's great.
versus broadcasting I'm home or not home.
So are you taking the next steps with them to do this, or it's a done deal, or you go to town and do a presentation?
Could do whatever, I think I want to check in with everyone here to get some input, some ideas, some thoughts.
Chief, do you have anything that kind of affects you?
I've got a few different thoughts on it. If the town has a system where somebody can check a box, I think that's great.
Yeah.
A lot of people pre-storm probably aren't thinking, oh, I've got to get on Code Red and sign up, or whatever the case might be.
Right.
But the people who do, if they have the ability to say abstain, then that's terrific. That's information that we can use to kind of target searches. Just thinking about it while you guys are talking, I'm wondering if there's any way that the carrier services can ping the island in the 12 hours before the storm.
Yeah.
And give us active locations. I don't know if that's even a thing, but they know where everybody is by your devices.
Right.
And almost, because then it doesn't take any action of the person who's staying on the island, as long as their phone is on before the storm.
Yeah.
As we get into those tense times, we see the last location of those active devices.
Well, I think even if you, that's something to research, but I do think, if you sign up for this first response, like I get a notice every day from the town, waste management, or there's a shortage of water, or whatever it is, boil water notice. We all get that one. And everybody sees it and goes, oh, you're boiling, and you start talking. Well, we get 5 days when the storm's coming. We've got so much time. And, did you sign up? What are you doing? If you change your mind, you go to the website and there's a link on there,
Well, I can envision this being activated when an evacuation order is issued.
Yeah.
Then I could see
It pushes
the
out.
code reds, they start pushing out.
Yep.
Are you planning to evacuate? And if you're going to stay, where are you going to
Yeah.
be? Where are you at? What's your location?
Yeah, and you would probably start this, just do this kind of annual notification. You send it out June 1st. Hurricane season is coming, please update your code red information. Are you still in this address?
Yeah.
That type of stuff, so that, some people move, they're not like, oh, I was just a guest, I'm not coming back, type of thing. So,
Right.
so you kind of clean the database, once a
Yeah.
year before a hurricane season. make sure that's accurate, and then when an instance does come up, that we have the most current information.
I think that's
I think there
it's
could be some
fantastic.
privacy issues regarding tracking
Yeah.
cell phone signals. Not that it's not technologically possible, I believe it would be.
Yeah.
It's
It would be something available
Yeah.
to, to the state use art.
Yes,
True.
I could see once, like the aftermath of a storm, more importantly,
Right.
to be able to activate that and see what cell phone signals are we seeing on this island?
Yeah.
And that would be a way to help guide use our, but I think that's under a state of emergency after the disaster has occurred. I think you've had better legal standing to do that kind of activity at that time as part of the search process. Prior to, I think people would have privacy issues. They don't want the government to know where they're at all the time. Because once you give the government permission to track your well-being, your location at all times, then I can see people saying, I don't think I want to do that.
Once the door is open.
Yeah.
Well, but I will say this is, it's a opt-in, if you want to say, and if it could eliminate 70% of your, time after a storm, I mean, that's got to be a benefit. Even 50%,
Well,
that you
it's-
know.
The pros of it is getting to those people first.
Correct.
If you know they're here,
Exactly.
go there first,
Yeah.
and make sure they're safe, and then, then you can start going back to the door-to-door
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, they're still gonna have to do that anyway.
You're gonna have to do it. It's just a matter of like, hey, if I know you were there, let's make sure everything is okay with you, and then you could start there. I think as a follow-up, the town manager was also talking something about a Motorola system where, I think I think all of our towers went down, and so a portable satellite system that could come into play. So I could follow up with him as well, so that anything that we do can complement his thoughts, as well as on, what actions do we take after a hurricane.
Right.
I love it.
The other thing I'll add is I've talked with emergency management just briefly after the storm on different ideas. And in our hurricane kits, it always talks about a go kit, with food and water and all that stuff, flashlights and whatnot. But we don't want to encourage people to stay, but if they're going to stay, then here's a stay kit. And what does that look like? So that's, you've got a can of spray paint. So after the storm, if you can get out front and paint a big, check under your front yard, it tells us that you're there and everybody's okay. Or a big circle and an X means I'm here and we need help.
Oh,
Something that from the sky, because everybody in the world is flying over when with the island damaged as bad as it was. Our first eyes on the island after the storm was from the air.
I didn't think of that.
So, and it's things that people can use to
Sure.
communicate in the most primitive
Yeah.
ways,
Yeah.
assuming all your technological systems are down.
Down.
Yeah.
I could see this whole system being exceptionally valuable in a case where more people stay because the storm is going to be a cat 1 or a tropical storm, and at the last second it turns into a 3 or a 4, and the impact is much more significant than they thought it was going to be. So they ended up staying. It would be really nice for us to know, like you said, where people are, and if there is pretty catastrophic damage in certain parts of the island, not total like we had, but parts of the island, you could go out and do a primitive acknowledgement that I need help.
Yep. Or I'm here and I'm okay.
Yeah.
But to see those markings on the ground tell you that there's people there, and it just by simply using a check or an X, it tells you their condition.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, so next step would be,
Reach out to town manager, just
Okay.
to see how this system would complement that, and then I'll connect with Jason and probably Jenny
Okay.
on how we can do a test.
okay,
I
and then
think
and I think we need to, I'll find out when we're supposed to go to town council. I need to talk to Jason when our next time is to give an update, because
Okay.
we've got some things and then you can do a presentation on it. 'Cause I
Okay,
think it's
that'd be
awesome. Great job.
That is excellent.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Love it. Public comment? No. I'll work with Jason on the next meeting agenda. We've got a couple of things. You'll give an update on you, and then I'll get some updates based on what we had talked about when I call the county, and I'll talk to Jenny and try to figure out when we talk to the town. And
And then we'll get the map for the
get the
sidewalks.
map, I'll get with
Right.
Heidi on that. See, let's try to get that done before season starts, if it does start. And I think we're back on schedule then for, do we need to meet in December since we've met so late in this month? We go to January?
That makes sense to me because
Yeah.
of the holidays.
Yeah, so is it the 16th? Does that sound right? The third Tuesday? So that'll be our next one.
January
January 16th,
16th.
that work with everybody?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, because I think it'd be a little redundant otherwise.
I agree.
Okay. Alrighty, all right, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second?
Second.
All right, it is passed. Adjourn, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
I gotta tell you, yeah, this is a good looking group here.